Saturday marks 1 year since the Supreme Court officially announced its Dobbs decision overturning Roe v. Wade and eliminating the federal constitutional right to abortion. Since then, almost every single state has taken some sort of action, some to restrict access, others to protect it and expand it. Natalie Brand takes a look at what that means for clinics on both sides of the issue.
And for 38 years, our practice for the day that Roe versus Wade was overturned. So this is when the real work begins.
Sylvia Johnson runs a pregnancy center in Houston, Texas, a state with one of the country's strictest abortion bans.
Women are needing more services, and they're looking for places so that those services can be provided for them.
Johnson estimates demand has grown 20% for the support her faith-based nonprofit provides. She's doubled medical staff, added case managers, and opened an additional location.
Are the cases tough? Yes. Is it hard? Yes. Is there a lot of fear gripping this culture and the community and the women that we're serving? Yes, we're seeing a lot of that.
Texas is one of 20 states that has banned or limited access to abortion since the Dobbs decision, while just as many states have strengthened the right to an abortion. Courts have blocked or paused some of the bans, with legal challenges ongoing.
The current state of the courts and the restrictions is nearly impossible for us to follow.
Dr. Shanthi Ramesh serves as the chief medical officer for the Virginia League for Planned Parenthood, which is seeing a rise in out-of-state patients seeking an abortion.
Yeah, so we're seeing patients from really across the whole Southeast.
Dr. Ramesh says her clinic has also expanded services such as medication abortion.
At our 4 sites, we're seeing patients almost every day of the week. We've opened up some weekend availability or evening availability to try to meet the needs.
Ramesh and Johnson are working to keep up with different needs as the Dobbs decision changes where abortion can be accessed in America.
North Carolina is among the states that have moved to restrict abortion. It bans most abortions after 12 weeks instead of the current ban of 20 weeks. It does have exceptions for rape, for incest, and for certain fatal fetal abnormalities, as well as the mother's life. Now, the law also requires longer waiting periods and more in-person visits to obtain any kind of procedure. Republicans say the legislation includes compromises.
If you look at some of the bills that are around the country, some that have been just really much more heated than this bill. They were bills that went further one way or further the other. This one really took kind of a middle of the road approach.
Abortion providers are concerned about the impacts not only for North Carolina, but those well beyond as well.
It's dangerous. It's scary right now to be a pregnant person in the South.
Flynn runs an abortion clinic in Raleigh that has seen an influx of patients from out of state since last year.
We worry about women that are going to start to self-manage their care, which is going to be very dangerous. Hospitals could be inundated with a lot of tragic situations.
Now, the law in North Carolina is supposed to go in effect in just a few days, July 1. But Planned Parenthood and a Duke doctor are now trying to delay that start. Just yesterday, they filed a motion for a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction to stop the law from taking effect July 1st. So now we wait to see what a judge decides. That Duke Health OBGYN in the lawsuit and others across our state and country are concerned about unclear language in some of the abortion bans. It's leading to a looming crisis, and that is a shortage of OBGYNs. It's expected to get worse as medical students make decisions on what and where to practice based on a state's abortion law.
Erin Duffy is a third-year med student in Florida, but this is not where the future OBGYN wants to be a doctor.
Unless things change, it wouldn't be my first choice to practice here.
What about other restrictive states, Texas, elsewhere?
It's just not an environment I really want to be in.
Students like Duffy are increasingly steering clear of OBGYN residencies in states with abortion bans. Applicants in those states plummeted more than 10% since Roe v. Wade was overturned. Some are deciding to avoid the specialty altogether, worried about the ability to practice evidence-based medicine.
There's also the big concern of the possibility of being legally prosecuted.
He's coming in Thursday morning.
Dr. Nicole Scott is the director of the OBGYN residency program at Indiana University School of Medicine. Says she's already seen a drop in applications.
What I'm specifically worried about is the retention of those doctors once they're finished training and their practice after residency.
And that puts the health of all women at risk, as OBGYNs also screen for cancer, perform well woman exams, and prescribe contraception.
This really isn't just about abortion access.
Dr. Amelia Huntsberger was doing that in Idaho, where most abortions are banned.
It's very clear that Idaho is no longer a safe place to practice medicine.
The OBGYN is leaving for neighboring Oregon after her rural hospital closed its maternity unit, citing in part staffing and Idaho's political climate.
If I'm an OBGYN resident coming out of residency and I'm looking around at different options, why would I look at Idaho and say, oh, I really want to move there to the state where I could be charged with a felony for providing medical care?
Current doctors leaving and new ones practicing elsewhere, leading to labor pains in women's health care.
Federal Democratic lawmakers, including Triad Representative Kathy Manning, are working to protect contraception rights. They say it's one of the next battles that we could see in the Supreme Court. Now, this comes after Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's concurring opinion to the Dobbs decision. He said he would reconsider and overrule, and this is a quote, all of this court's substantive due process precedents, including Griswold, Lawrence, and Obergefell. The Lawrence decision says sodomy laws are unconstitutional. The next says gay marriage is protected, and Griswold protects rights to contraceptives.
If we had thought that Roe versus Wade was going to be overturned 5 years ago, we would have secured a woman's right to have an abortion, to make the decision between the woman and her doctor 5 years ago. But people were lulled into believing that settled law would prevail. We've seen what happened with abortion rights, and now we're going to see the same thing happening with contraception. So we need to get ahead of this fight.
Now, bills to protect rights to contraception have been introduced in both the House and the Senate. We'll, of course, stay on top of this. WFMY News 2 at 6 is coming up next.